Your fame is spread all over the 3 worlds. We take shelter of your lotus. Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Anyone is good. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Bandamoi Savadana Mati Bandamui Savadana Mati Jahara Prasade Bhai E Bhavatori Aja Krishna Prapti Oija Aite Krishna Prapti Oija Aite Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya Padma Vakya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya Arana Koriya Mane Asha Arana Koriya Mane Asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Chakurana Diloje Jame Janme Prabhu Se Chakurana Diloje Janme Janme Prabhu Se Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashita दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशिता प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्य विनाश जाते प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्य विनाश जाते तेरे गाय जार चरिता तेरे गाय जार चरिता गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनार बंधु Savior of the fallen Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Jivana Lokanath Lokera Jivana Ah Prabhu karo roya de hamare parajaya Ah Prabhu karo roya de hamare parajaya Ebe jasa guchokre bhuvanda Ebe jasa guchokre bhuvanda Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu Lokana Lokara Jivana Lokana Lokara Jivana Ah Prabhu Karo doya Te hamare parajaya Ah Prabhu Karo doya Te hamare parajaya Ebe jasa guchokre bhuvana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Surapada Lola Sharana Jai Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarina Namaste Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Follow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Let I go to Haribo, Haribo, let I go. Let I go, Haribo, 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 Lord Haribo. Let I go, Haribo, Haribo, Lord Haribo. Bad Paramahansa Purudikacharya Ashtotar Datashi Shrimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Purudikacharya Ashtotar Datashi Shrimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Chikaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Bhava Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mahi Ki Jai. Yamuna Mahi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna. So I'm going to read a little Sankirtan story this morning. They're talking about how the devotees in Bhaktivedanta Manor have plans to distribute 100,000 books in 2015 in celebrating the 50th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's arrival in the West. So to move forward in fulfilling the dream, the Manor and ISKCON London came together for a day of Sankirtan in the heart of London on a sunny mid-April Saturday. They had Harinam that included book and prasad distribution, and there was about 100 devotees that went out. They started the Harinam party, and then this devotee who wrote the story, he got lost from the Harinam party because he's a book distributor, so he gets really absorbed in speaking to people, and the Harinam party went on without him, and he couldn't find it. So he said that he thought that rather than trying to run around to find the Harinam party, he'd just get back to distributing books. He had a good day, and he got back to the Soho temple, and Vijay was in town, and he was going to be giving a seminar at 3 o'clock, but the temple was quiet, and the seminar hadn't started. The Harinam party hadn't gotten back yet. So he's just decided to stay outside of the Soho temple and distribute books. He would start the book distribution as he saw people come. He would say, "Excuse me, are you from London? Excuse me, have you met a monk before?" So then he saw a man around 6 feet 4 inches tall, well-built, in his late 40s or early 50s. Looking at him, I felt like a minuscule character from Gulliver's Travels. But one thing Sankirtan does is make you fearless, so I smiled and waved at him as if I'd known him for lifetimes. "How are you doing? Isn't it an amazing day?" While still walking, he responded, "Yes, indeed." "Wow, you speak English. Are you from London?" He slowed down, laughed, and said, "Yes." Straight away I asked him, "Have you met a monk before?" He smiled, starting picking up his pace again, and said, "You can't stop me. I've seen you guys here for the past 25 years. "Wow, so you have spoken to a monk before?" He stopped and said with a pause, "Actually, no." Surprised, I asked again, "You've been seeing us for 25 years and you never spoke to a monk here?" So he repeated that he had seen generations before me, but he'd never stopped. "Well, never mind," I replied. "What hasn't happened in 25 years happened today. Here's a book for you." He said he couldn't take the book and started walking away. I told him that it's a gift since he'd been seeing us for 25 years. I smiled and said, "See, monks can give gifts sometimes." He stopped again and said, "You know what? It's my birthday today." "Oh, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. Here you go. One more gift. This is your birthday gift." And I gave him another book. He chuckled and took the second book and said he didn't have any money. I told him not to worry about it. These are gifts. Have a good read. He started to leave, then stopped and said, "You know, I guess I do have some change." So he dug in his pockets and he gave what he had, and he said, "You're good." "And the books are amazing," I said. "Please pop down sometime and let us know how you like the books. See you later." So for a while I stopped to relish what just happened. I just witnessed the magic of the Sankirtan Yajna with my own eyes. Cheto Darpanamarjanam. The holy name had cleansed the dust from his heart after 25 years, and he'd taken a book. For me, it was a moment never to forget. And then I think he got back to the temple, and the book seminar was just on, and he went in to see the book seminar. He said, "I could see how the Lord had made an arrangement to give his mercy to that conditioned soul." I smiled and relished the incident. If you are trying to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's magic, go out on the street and distribute books. You will see it taking place right before your eyes. And that was from Ganesh Das, or maybe just Ganesh. Okay, Hare Krishna. So I want to welcome Rangavati Prabhu home from Sri Vrindavan Dham. She'd been away for about a month. And also Dravida Prabhu is here with us. Yay. So it's always a good day when Dravida is here in New Raman Reti. So just a couple of announcements. First of all, Bhakta Josh is getting ready to go on book distribution for the whole summer. He's joining the Krishna House Sankirtan, traveling Sankirtan party, and he'll be going out representing New Raman Reti, and the one and only person. And he's going to be distributing books, so his services need to be covered. And if there's anybody who would like the very blissful service of cleaning the temple room any number of days of the week, please see me. We would like to find someone to do it before I resort to hiring someone I don't even know. Also, the picnic table project is almost finished. There was a very nice man who is very capable, who had community service hours, and he was filling all the picnic table cracks and stuff for us. It's almost done. Mahabodhi's going to finish it. Then they have to be sanded. If anyone has any extra time and would like some service, we could put you to work sanding the picnic tables. Okay, and then a week from Saturday is Nishringa Chaturdasi. It's a very nice festival here. We have a full day planned, including in the afternoon, we'll have a homa, and then a very nice dance performance by the Bhakti Kalayam Dance Academy. All their students will perform for the pleasure of the Shishi Radhe Sham, Shishi Krishna Balaram, Shishi Gaurnitai. And also that will be followed by a dramatic reading that leads up to the Artik. So it's a very nice full morning and full afternoon for everybody. Okay, these are the devotees who assisted their spiritual master dressing the deities today. Shishi Radha Sham Sundar Nanda Devi Dasi. Chota Radha Sham Sundar Leela Devi Dasi. Shishi Krishna Balaram Devaki Devi Dasi. Chota Krishna Balaram Madhuri Gopi Devi Dasi. Shri Shri Gaurnitai Astasaki Devi Dasi. Chota Kornitai Gandharvika Devi Dasi. Guru Zanlur Nishringadev Krishna Kripa Moya Das. Dravida Prabhu is giving class today.
Rechewing it. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranhari Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Mr. Bad Paramahansa Bhadrakacharya Ashtotar the Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Bhadrakacharya Ashtotar the Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Kokti Vaishnavin Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai and Samaveta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Narayana namaskritya Narang chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jai mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master, and in this case, the inspirer. Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktim Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 23rd day of April, 2015, in Alachua, Florida, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by the disciples of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Canto 10, the Summum Bonum, Chapter 64, the Deliverance of King Nriga. Text 17 through 25. Tang niyamanam tat swami Drishtro vachamametitam Mameti parigrayaha Nrigo me dattavanati Tang niyamanam tat swami Drishtro vachamametitam Mameti parigrayaha Nrigo me dattavanati Tang niyamanam tat swami Drishtvo vachamametitam Mameti parigrayaha Nrigo me dattavaniti. Tang niyamanam tat swami Drishtro vachamametitam Mameti parigrayaha Nrigo me dattavanati. Tang niyamanam tat swami Drishtro vachamametitam Mameti parigrayaha Nrigo me dattavanati. Tang niyamanam tat swami Drishtro vachamametitam Mameti parigrayaha Ladies? Tang niyamanam tat swami Drishtro vachamametitam Mameti parigrayaha Mrigo me dattavaniti. Tang niyamanam tatsvami. Trisro vacha mametitam. Mameti parigrayaha. Mrigo me dattavaniti. Now what should I do? Should I just read the synonyms since you all have them? We can read together. Tam, her the cow. Niyamanam, being led away. Tat, her. Swami, master. Drishtva, seeing. Uvacha, said. Mama, mine. Iti, thus. Tam, to him. Mama, mine. Iti, thus. Parigrahi, he who had accepted the gift. Aha, said. Nrigaha, King Nriga. Me, to me. Dattavan, gave. Iti, thus. Translation: when the cow's first owner saw her being led away, he said, "She is mine." The second Brahmin, who had accepted her as a gift, replied, "No, she's mine. Nriga gave her to me." No purport. Viprao vividhamano mam uchatu svartasarakao bhavan data paharteti tatchutvame bhavadan pramaha. As the two Brahmins argued, each trying to fulfill his own purpose, they came to me. One of them said, "You gave me this cow." And the other said, "But you stole her from me." Hearing this, I was bewildered. I'm just going to read the English. Finding myself in a terrible dilemma concerning my duty in the situation, I humbly entreated both the Brahmins. "I will give 100,000 of the best cows in exchange for this one. Please give her back to me. Your good selves should be merciful to me, your servant. I did not know what I was doing. Please save me from this difficult situation, or I'll surely fall into a filthy hell." The present owner of the cow said, "I don't want anything in exchange for this cow, O king," and went away. The other Brahmin declared, "I don't want even 10,000 more cows than you are offering," and he too went away. Purport: in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada comments, thus disagreeing with the king's proposal, the two Brahmins left the palace in anger, thinking that their lawful possession had been usurped. Text 22. "O Lord of Lords," so now Nriga is speaking to Krishna, "O Lord of Lords, O Master of the universe, the agents of Yamaraj, taking advantage of the opportunity thus created, later carried me to his abode. There Yamaraj himself questioned me." Purport: according to the Acharyas, the king's performance of fruitive activities had previously been flawless, but now an inadvertent discrepancy had arisen, and so when the king died, the Yamadutas took him to the abode of Yamaraj called Sangyamani. Text 23. Yamaraj said, "My dear king, do you wish to experience the results of your sins first, or those of your piety? Indeed, I see no end to the dutiful charity you have performed, or to your consequent enjoyment in the radiant heavenly planets." I replied, "First, my lord, let me suffer my sinful reactions." And Yamaraj said, "Then fall." At once I fell, and while falling, I saw myself becoming a lizard, O master. "O Keshava, as your servant, I was devoted to the Brahmins and generous to them, and I always hankered for your audience. Therefore, even till now, I have never forgotten my past life." Purport: Srila Jiva Goswami comments on this verse as follows. Since King Nriga openly declared that he had two outstanding qualities, namely devotion to the Brahmins and generosity, it is clear that he possessed these qualities only partially, since someone who is truly pure would not boast about them. It is also clear that King Nriga considered such piety to be a separate goal, desirable for its own sake. Thus, he did not fully appreciate pure devotional service to Lord Krishna. Krishna had not been the only goal of Nriga's life, as he was for Ambarish Maharaj, even in the stage of regulative practice. Nor do we find that King Nriga overcame obstacles like those Ambarish did when Durvasa Muni became angry at him. Still, we can conclude that since Nriga was able to see the Lord for some reason or other, he must have had the good quality of sincerely desiring the Lord's association. Srila Prabhupada confirms the above analysis in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On the whole, Nriga had not developed Krishna consciousness. The Krishna conscious person develops love of God, Krishna, not love for pious or impious activities. Therefore, he is not subjected to the results of such action. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, a devotee, by the grace of the Lord, is not subjected to the reactions of fruit of activities. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti offers the following commentary. When Nriga mentioned one who hankered to have your audience, he was referring to an incident concerning a certain great devotee King Nriga had once met. This devotee was very eager to acquire a temple for a most beautiful deity of the Supreme Lord. And he also wanted copies of such scriptures as the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Being very generous, Nriga arranged for these things, and the devotee was so satisfied that he blessed the king. My dear king, may you have the audience of the Supreme Lord. From that time on, Nriga desired to see the Lord. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So there are several important lessons to be learned from this pastime of King Nriga. And some of them are still to come, of course. The chapter is not over. And Krishna makes it very clear how dangerous it is to steal a Brahman's property. But here we see some very interesting phenomena. First of all, Nriga was an extraordinarily generous king. He would give these thousands of cows repeatedly to various Brahmins, very pious. But we see that from the passage that we read, that his motivation was not pure devotion to Krishna. He was very anxious to do piety in order to get a better situation, either in the heavenly planets or in this planet. He was doing pious action for its own sake. And he also wanted to please the Brahmins. Now, on the Brahmin side, we see that these Brahmins are not exactly Brahmin Vaishnavas. I was thinking, whatever happened to that quality of chanti, which is forgiveness? Can you imagine? Suppose someone gave you 10 cows, or 100 cows, and one of them wandered off into another person's herd and they were given again. Would you be so angry with the person who gave you those cows that you wouldn't forgive them and you'd break your thread and go off? And basically, that's what they did. Of course not. You'd be, don't worry about it, right? So they were Brahmins, certainly. And they were very pious and they had qualities, but they didn't have even the qualities Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, one of which is chantir, which is forgiveness. And I checked out this quality, and a perfect example of a devotee who manifests this quality of chanti or forgiveness was Pariksit. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when the different aspects of symptoms of ecstasy are mentioned, meaning symptoms that you can see that manifest in someone's character, one of the first ones is chanti, and the example as I gave was Maharaj Pariksit, who you can imagine. Now just think of that incident. He was completely unjustifiably cursed by this little Shringi, right? I mean, he garnered his father with a snake, but after all, he's this great king. He's doing all good for the whole society. He's a great devotee. He did not deserve to be cursed to die in 7 days. And he could have counteracted the curse, and he could have even punished Shringi, or done whatever he wanted. But he completely accepted it. And the verse that he uttered to the sages who were that had gathered there on the bank of the Ganges, and to Shukadeva Goswami, was this famous verse, Tam mo payatam pratiyantu vipra, Ganga cha devi ditachittamishe, vitopasishta kuhakastakshakova dushat valam gayata vishnugata. O Brahmins, just accept me as a completely surrendered soul, and let Mother Ganges, the representative of the Lord, also accept me in that way. For I have already taken the lotus feet of the Lord into my heart. Let the snake bird, or whatever magical thing the Brahmin has created, bite me at once. I only desire that you all continue singing the deeds of Lord Vishnu. So this is the perfect example of tolerance, of forgiveness and acceptance. And also earlier, Maharaj Parikshit had welcomed this curse. He said, oh, this is a great blessing that the Lord has given me. And immediate renunciation, and he had a number of days when he was going to pass away. And he renounced everything and sat by the Ganges just simply to hear and chant about Krishna. So the Brahmins hadn't achieved that. They were sort of smarta Brahmins, but they were Brahmins nonetheless. And nor was Nriga a pure devotee. But you can see the great advantage of being very charitable. And this reminded me of that passage in that verse in this 12th chapter. You remember when Krishna is saying, look, just fix your mind on me, and your talent is on me, and you'll come back to me without any doubt. That's the highest, way beyond impersonal realization. That was how the chapter began, is that Arjuna wanted to know, what's the greatest process of yoga? Is it impersonalism, or is it meditation on you? Is it devotion to you? And of course, Krishna says, it's devotion to me. But then he says, but the impersonalists, those who are attached to the impersonal, to the indefinite, so forth, they eventually come to me, provided that they're kind to all living beings. That's also part of it. But it's very difficult. Klesho dikadataste shama vyakta chakta chetasam. Those who are attached to the invisible, the indefinite, the impersonal conception, it's very troublesome for those who are embodied, which includes all of us. So then he goes back to describing bhakti, and he describes that's the highest. Just fix your mind on me. But if you can't do that, then practice the principles of devotional service, and you'll get the desire for me, right? We're trying to awaken that ardent desire for Krishna's service, for Krishna's darshan, for Krishna. That's what the goal is. So you'll gradually develop that. You may not have it now, but practice Vaidhi Bhakti. Well, even if you can't do that, then at least try to work for me. So now he's come back to like karma yoga. Work hard at your job. You may not be thinking of me, but you understand, okay, a portion of this food is going to go to Krishna as a karma. If you can't even do that, then at least try to be generous. Don't just be a miser, selfish miser, and in this way become a demon, basically he's saying. But be generous, give charity to the worthy recipients of charity. Now you can see the benefit here. Nriga was giving these thousands of cows in charity to everywhere. But mostly he was giving to these smarta Brahmins. But at one point he gave charity. He met someone who was an actual devotee and who wanted to build a temple and who wanted to get books like Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And Nriga said, okay, sure, we'll do that. And he got a blessing. The blessing was that you will see Krishna. You see. And from that time on, that became one of his desires. Now, how does that apply to us? Well, Mother Mukti was just reading this wonderful passage about a book distributor in London. So it's like that. Devotees go out, they give out books, they give out prasadam, you give out the holy name. People don't know anything, right? I go in San Diego, we go downtown, we chant. We just had a Rath Yatra in Balboa Park, chanting for 6 hours, you know. And people just wander by, right? And some people stop, they listen to the chanting, they come over to the table, they give a little something. In their whole life, this is the first real act of devotion, right? They're giving to devotees. The devotees are going to take that Lakshmi and give it to the temple, the BBT, and so forth. It's devotional energy now. So that being available to be recipients of charity is a major service that we can do, provided, of course, that we're taking that charity and using it in Krishna service. But the point is that devotees wander the earth, providing the opportunity for people to do service, even unknowingly. This famous Agyata Sukriti. Agyata Sukriti. Agyata Sukriti is very important. For one to take up devotional service in this life, you have to have some background of devotional service. But that devotional service may even be unknowing. Somehow or other, you came in touch with a devotee, you did something. Was it Prahlad, who in his previous life was just cleaning off the mandap that had been a temple, right? In the Nrsingadev temple, and then he was having illicit relation there, but he had cleaned off the temple. That's told in one Purana, isn't it? So, the idea is that this pastime describes various things. One, Krishna will, be very, very severely speak to these young sons. Now, one of the puzzles, maybe Mukundi or Pran, you can help me with this one. At the very beginning of this chapter, I haven't figured out how this works yet. It's described how the children of the Yadu dynasty were playing, and they discovered this lizard in the well, right? And one of those children there, youngsters who were playing, was Pradyumna. But previously, we heard how Pradyumna was kidnapped from the bassinet and taken by Shambhara, right? And then he was thrown into the ocean, swallowed by the fish, comes back, the fisherman catches him, cuts him open, and then there's Mayavati, right, who he turns out he was Cupid. But then as far as I remember, he grew up real fast. And when he returned finally to Dwarka, he was grown up. So where did he have time to play out and find that lizard as an adolescent? Puzzle of it. You give me the answer later. I was looking at Vishwanath Chakravarti and the others. Did they explain this? Because sometimes they'll explain. This is one of the puzzles. This is a little sidelight, but when Krishna steals the garments of the gopis, right? It describes there, several verses, he's there with his Vyasyas. He's there with his friends. His friends are there. And he even interacts with them as in this pastime. But that's a little bit awkward, isn't it? He's got all his friends there, and the gopis come out naked eventually from the water. How's that going to work? So Vishwanath Chakravarti explains, these are just little boys, naked, who couldn't stand to be separate from Krishna, and so they walked out into the forest with him. And they don't even know the difference between man and woman. They're just little, right? You remember that? So I was looking for that Vishwanath Chakravarti who could help resolve this issue, but I haven't found it. But maybe in some commentary there's it. Anyway, that's just a sidelight. So this pastime, one of the things that now, what's the real standard of charity? Krishna describes in the 18th chapter. He says, well, charity is never to be given up. He says, acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha. That is my final opinion. So, how do these acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance, which means austerity, how do they fit into our sadhana bhakti? Well, in one sense, you can see that they fit very nicely, although not as often as they're usually understood. A sacrifice or yajna is commonly performed precisely for some future benefit, right? You perform yajna with an intention of going to the heavenly planets or something. Or sometimes yajnas are performed in order to kill an enemy. You remember when Twashta performed his yajna, right? He was furious because his son, Vishwarup, had been slain by Indra. He was his guru. But because he had some mantras that he was offering to the demon side, Indra went, he flew off the handle, as he's wont to do, and he cut off Vishwarup's heads. And so Twashta was furious at that. So he was performing a yajna to invoke a demon who was going to go and kill Indra. It's a sacrifice. But my understanding is that he was so upset that he chanted the mantra a little bit wrong, one of the mantras, right? So instead of getting a demon to kill Indra, he got a devotee dressed as a demon who Indra would kill and send back to Godhead, namely Chitraketu in the form of Vitrasura. So when it's a material sacrifice, everything has to be just perfect. Otherwise, you may get a contrary result or no result at all. But we certainly perform sacrifice with Sankirtan Yajna. The motivation is different, the process is different, and the process is very liberal, right? Anyone can perform anytime this Sankirtan Yajna, chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And there's no bad result. There's no bad result. There's only a good result. Even if you don't pronounce it perfectly, you're not perfectly clean, or anything but a Brahmin, born Brahmin or anything, still, it's because it's a transcendental yajna, it's all auspicious. Charity. Now charity, what is the essence of charity? Dana. So dana means giving selflessly for the benefit of another. Isn't it? Is that, that's what it should be. That can also be done with a motive, right? Like, well, even in the Bible it says, the best charity is done anonymously, right? Isn't it? I think there's something like that. But that oftentimes you find, no, people want to become famous as giving a gift. They'll give like $10 million in order to establish a medical wing in a hospital, and their name is going to be on it, right? So everyone can know this is the John Smith wing of such and such hospital. So it's an aspect of their, can I say it, demonic mentality. Isn't it said in the 16th chapter? They perform sacrifice in name only so that they'll be known as charitable people. There's not much real empathy there going on. There may be some. People's motivations are mixed. But it's certainly not pure devotion. So, but we are also meant to be constantly giving. We're meant to be in that mood of giving Krishna to the poor souls who haven't heard of Krishna, who doesn't know, and who are gliding toward a hellish existence. That's the greatest charity. That's why Lord Chaitanya, Namo Mahavadanyaya, there's the word dana right in his name. Mahavadanyaya. Dana. Vadanyaya means munificent. Most munificent. It doesn't exactly mean magnanimous. Just a little editorial note. Probably would use these words interchangeably, but if you want to be truly precise, magnanimous means forgiving, actually. Mostly forgiving. It can also include some charity, but mostly munificent is what it is. So Namo Mahavadanyaya. So we're meant to give charity in the form of Krishna consciousness, in the form of the greatest gift, the holy name. Yes, people should give a little donation. That's even greater, that they perform some service. But the greatest charity, I mean, can the value of the Bhagavad Gita that they're buying for $5 compared to the $5? $5 is nothing compared to the value of what they're getting, right? So, and that charity, it doesn't have any material result. It's not that we're performing this charity in order to have a better material situation, get rid of some disease or anything. We're doing it as a matter of duty, but as in everything in Krishna consciousness, that duty is meant to mature into an ardent desire to do it. When Srila Prabhupada came to America and gave his life blood in order to preach this movement, he had an order from his spiritual master, and also Lord Chaitanya's mission, obviously. But he was doing it out of the purity of the heart, of overflowing with compassion to give this treasure to people who needed it. That's real charity. And as far as sacrifice, penance, austerity, well, austerity is an essential aspect of Vaidhi Bhakti. Tasmad Tvanam Niyanyado Niyam Yambaratarshava. In the very beginning, one has to control the senses. In the beginning. Now, it's not that you repress the senses, but you engage them in Krishna service. But you can't engage them in Krishna service until you stop engaging them in Maya service. So there's austerity there. And that austerity, as we know, that's purifying. That purifies. It purifies the heart, purifies the mind, intelligence, body, everything. So that we can better appreciate Krishna, a holy name and everything. So sacrifice, charity, and penance are part of a Krishna consciousness. In the mature state, it's no longer a sacrifice. It's no longer, charity in the sense of, oh, I have to give this to someone else. You want to do it. The sacrifice itself becomes the most ecstatic thing you want to do. We were just chanting Hare Krishna here, right? We had in the nice Kirtan led by my friend Krishna Keshava Krishna, right? So, did we feel like we're performing a sacrifice? Was it like we're gritting our teeth and say, all right, I'll give this, I'll do this, I'll go through this austerity? No. Susukam kartam abhyayam. It's joyfully performed. This is Lord Chaitanya's great gift. And the other aspects, they merge into the nectar of Krishna consciousness, of bhakti. So there's no sacrifice, there's no vaidhi bhakti going on in the spiritual world. It's all simply spontaneous, loving service to Krishna, which is the goal of everything that we're trying to do. So this an interesting chapter, this King Riga chapter. How if one is a good person, he has a better chance of entering into devotional service. The mode of goodness is important to cultivate. If you're cultivating the mode of passion and ignorance, and you become very hard-hearted, then it's very difficult to be receptive to the message of bhakti, even if you come in touch with a devotee. And that's why devotees' activities, we need to be pure ourselves and examples, so that people can see us as someone who they want to emulate, as someone who, even if they don't understand anything of the philosophy or anything, that these are good people. Let me talk to them. Let me go visit them somehow like that. And that's so on that level. This mode of goodness is important, and this is what this charity is born out of, really. That giving to the Brahmins and so forth. I mean, Riga was a good person, and the culmination of that goodness was when he met that devotee who he gave charity to. All of his other charity, was going to take him to heaven. He wasn't a pure devotee. That's mentioned in the commentaries. The fact that he was saying, yes, you may have heard my name, that in a list of very generous people, right? That's not a devotional mood, Devotee is always trying to put himself down, right? That, well, so many people are so generous, but me, I'm actually a miser. That's more like devotional mood. Did you see my name in the list? It was up to that's it. So that was Nriga's mood, But after all, he was seeing Krishna. He had gotten that blessing. So just by that, of course, meeting, he was ultimately purified and became pure. Any way that one meets Krishna, it's auspicious. So these are some of the lessons to be learned here. And I remember when I first read this, of course, this is a famous pastime, reading Krishna book. And then Krishna, at the end of this chapter, it's all about, the Brahman's property is like poison, it's better to be cast into a realm of fire than to touch a Brahman's property, like that. He's really emphasizing, don't steal anything. And how, you're living in the ashram and, hey, what happened to my shoes? Who took my who took my dhoti, And after you read this, you didn't see that much anymore, at least for a while, until you forgot the past. So it's like that. We don't, especially the idea which Krishna mentions here, that if you give something to Krishna, it's gone. Don't expect it back. Don't have it back. That's a very important principle. I remember there was this thing that happened in New Govardhan in Australia. I don't know if you know the whole incident that happened. This was years ago. One lady joined, and she gave a piece of land, But then she had second thoughts, and she wanted the land back. And it went into a whole legal battle for years. Eventually the devotees lost, and they had to pay a huge legal settlement and everything. But one very nice devotee named Ajit, who I mentioned there, he's a wonderful devotee. At that time he was a brahmachari, he's a great cook. Do you ever have this experience where some preps that you eat that stick out in your mind like years later, that this was like such an incredible, prasadam? Well, I had that experience with him. I flew to Sydney on my way to Brisbane. This was in 1995. I was working on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. We were finishing the revision, and I had to go help with the actual typesetting of the book. I also had some skill in that. So I was on my way to Brisbane. So I don't know if you've ever flown from LA to Sydney. It's a long flight. It's like 20 hours or something. It's huge, Pacific Ocean, and into the southern hemisphere. So it was a long flight, and I cannot eat on these planes, so I was completely fasting, you know. I get to Sydney, I said, okay, it's just a hop and a jump to Brisbane. I'm going to catch the connecting flight. No. Although Sydney is a major city, the whole airport was just a mess. I stood in lines and lines, and it turned out it was the wrong line, and this and that was an hour and a half before I even got the right plane. So then I get to Brisbane, you know, I'm practically keeling over. And Ajit met me at the airport with this incredible khichdi that he made. Now, I'm not a big khichdi man, you know, but he had made this khichdi with eggplant in it and all this stuff. Oh, that was like manna from heaven, you know. So Ajit went on. Even at that time, he was doing this program of prasadam distribution, just like you do here in Gainesville. You know, he would cook up a big thing and go out and distribute to restaurants and this and that, gatherings. But then, so he developed this whole program in New Govardhan. He became the president there of trucks, prasadam trucks that would go out to major events and everything. He made a business. They made so much money. They paid off that legal thing, and they put the whole New Govardhan on a very sound financial footing. And to this day, that's one of the main programs. It's all prasadam and cooked very purely, and they go out, people know it's prasadam in it. So he helped kind of rescue that yatra. And, prasadam distribution, this is a major aspect of charity. We're talking about charity here, you know, and it's prasadam. And so it's not just charity. People are doing devotional service there by honoring prasadam. So this is some of the lessons from this chapter. Okay, any discussion on these points? Janmashtami Prabhu.
So you were mentioning the 12th chapter, the different gradations of purity and surrender. What I'm wondering is, what is the actual difference in efficacy between Karma Mishra Bhakti and Uttama Bhakti? It's hard to, because there's gradations there,
the spectrum.
But it significantly accelerates one's spiritual advancement. That's my understanding, if one practices Uttama Bhakti as opposed to
absolutely
Karma Mishra Bhakti. Any references? Because usually we contrast karma, or fruit of activities, against Uttama Bhakti, but Karma Mishra Bhakti against Uttama Bhakti, don't see that so much.
Yeah, well, the only reference that I can think of, I should do some research on it, is the example of the wedding party. You're performing bhakti, but you're holding on to your material desires. So all this effort is going on, but you're really not moving forward, depending on how much you're holding on to. If you're mixing it up with the motivation and the desires, mainly thing is that you're maintaining the attachments as that you've had. Maybe not all the attachments. I mean, you can't, but some of them you won't let go. And there is a passage, I think it's in, I forget, you probably may know it, where it's described that the Ladini Shakti is that same pleasure potency when mixed with the modes of material nature and we become the center of the enjoyment, is the cause of great suffering. It becomes the desire for sense gratification. So it's like you're building a fire. I mean, you're building a fire, but then you're pouring water on it. The more that your bhakti has material motivation or has mixed in material desires, the more deeply rooted is that anchor in the water. And so it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and then the next day it's 1 step forward and 2 steps back, and you really haven't gone anywhere. So therefore, it's really important to try to cut off. That's why it said, you know, how Krishna's Kaviraj, he had that dream. He just left the next day. You know, he didn't sit down, think about it, talk about it with his brother, and maybe his, I don't know, with his wife, whatever, you know, his mother. I don't know. Maybe next week. Let me write a paper on it. No way. You know, he got the inspiration. Boom, he left. You know, cut the ties. So, now, of course, depending on the situation you're in, you know, you have to be dutiful, but there has to be a progression of vairagya, of detachment and renunciation. Otherwise, you find yourself that the very energy you're putting into your bhakti can also be into these last few things that you really want, and it becomes harder and harder to give them up. That's one of the problems. So of karma mishra bhakti, to mix it up. And that's why Prabhupada always, you know, emphasized unalloyed bhakti, pure devotional service, from the very beginning of Bhakti Samana Sindhu. Anyabhilashita shunyam. You read it. Even if you only get through the first 12 verses, you're going to read that one, you know, without, you know, any other desires. So it's a, you know, that's really the hard part. You know, you give up A, B, C, D, and F, and G, but you just can't give up H. And, you know, that becomes like something that's just really anchoring you down. So at one point, Krishna, you know, may put you through some trauma to make you, force you to do it. You know, some wake you up, some, you know, disease will come, or some great change in your circumstances that you realize this is holding me back, you know. So that's my take on that. You're next, Ajit. Jitari.
When you were speaking about devotees wandering the earth, it kind of didn't hear it correctly, and then I thought I heard launder the earth, you know. But I thought it's actually, instead of wander, I heard launder. And
laundering the earth.
But it's actually what they're doing, you know. It's like we're washing the earth. So.
Sometimes it's an advantage to be a little hard of hearing. You can get different understandings come through. Laundering the earth. That's good. Remind me, I have something about that later. Go ahead, Bill. Oh, who's next? Shesh.
What happened to that lady that took back the land? I mean, did she have some like heavy karmic thing?
The lady that what?
Took back the land.
Oh, gee, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we don't have to go to Australia for that. You know, we've had our own, you know, people who are suing us, you know, and getting settlements, you know. I don't know. Uh-oh. Is it working?
Yes, Ravidaji, thanks for your nice lecture. So you mentioned the two brahmanas, why they were getting angry, they ignoring the moral goodness. So on many occasions, Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, he was angry with some devotees on different occasions. You know, as we know, his pastimes. And he is not just a brahmana, he is Prabhupada's a great Paramahansa. Yeah. So, and Prabhupada gives the example of Hanuman and Arjuna, that you can use your anger for serving Krishna. So how do you explain that?
I'm not sure, I missed that. What was it about Hanuman?
Well, Lord Hanuman uses anger for serving Lord Ramachandra.
Anger.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not that anger can't be used.
It's not like...
The whole thing you have to see is what it's being used for. These Brahmins were angry. It's interesting, the first verse that we read, twice you have mameti in there. Aham mameti, you know, that's like one of the main, right? It's mine, mameti, mama. That's not pure devotion, you know? So anger can definitely be used. Prabhupada used it, but it's used as an instrument, you know, like a fine scalpel. But when anger is material, it pollutes the whole body, you know, and you'll find that, you know, like holding a grudge. That's exactly opposite to what the devotional attitude is. Hold it, you know. I was done wrong, you know, and I'll get them back one day, you know. Let me just hold on to that, you know. That's the heart becomes harder and harder, you know. But devotees, you know, okay, you know, he took my shoes, and you know, with Krishna's arrangement, I'll get new shoes. You know, when I first went to India, You know, I was a couple of years in the boat. So someone took my shoes, so I took somebody's shoes. You know, this is the way it escalates, right? That wasn't the right way to handle it. Trivikram Prabhu.
Haribol, so, as far as Kama Mishra Bhakti and pure Bhakti, that's so many places. I mean, Sanatana Goswami, of course, has delineated 6 kinds of devotees, starting with Sakama Bhaktas, Kama Mishra, and in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it's laid out what is a rope siddha bhakti, Sangha siddha bhakti, pure Bhakti. So many places it's delineated clearly. But why this pastime with Pradyumna is like this? It's explained that Shukadeva Goswami, when he was describing, he was not going sequentially.
Mm-hmm.
He was going according to a number of factors, like if any 2 leelas had relation. Like the actual pastime of Kaliya Damana, chastising Kaliya, took place before the killing of Denuka. But he told Denuka first because it was related to Gocharan pastimes.
Okay.
And then later on, he in the 19th chapter of 10th canto, he starts discussing the rainy season, which is a covered way to describe the Purva Raga of gopis. Then in Venugit, the next chapter, he actually describes it. Then he starts describing the beauty of Vajran, Haran Leela, stealing the clothes. He's getting more and more excited, spiritually, emotionally. So then he gets to a certain point, and then he starts discussing how Nanda Maharaj is kidnapped by Varuna, which has nothing to do with anything. So this was a way also of checking his own rise and fall of emotions, actually acharyas have said.
Interesting.
So he would not describe. So in some cases also, the next chapter is Balaram's visit to Vrindavan.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Shukadeva Goswami, knowing his katha, is going to be describing something very, very deep. So now he goes back to describe something like about King Nirga, which is simply an upakyan, you know, like a teaching for people.
Right.
Also, it's described that there were 88,000 rishis there, and they're mentioned because of respect, because they're rishis, but they were not the only ones there. There were kings there, karmis there, there was all kind of people because the king of the world was leaving.
Right.
So he also spoke katha appropriate to giving them lessons as well. That's why when they questioned Sutta Goswami, they mentioned, Yachtrinvatam rasa jnanam, swadu, you speak something for us also. And then you can also speak to accommodate everyone else.
Okay.
So for many reasons he didn't
Actually,
speak
it's interesting you mentioned the Vastraharana, because in that very chapter, you know, the end of it is he's wandering with his friends and he's praising the charity of the trees. Remember that? That's definitely like a little bit of a come down from the... I mean, come down, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Dam, Sudam, Vasudam, and Kinkini, they're like small boys. In Ujjani Lamani, it says they're like the same age, but their mood becomes like small boys there, so they won't make any distinction.
Okay, right. Oh, that's what I mean. All right, yes, Mataji.
I was thinking how this story is so hard for me to enter into because immediately you're confronted with these Brahmins who seem so unreasonable, and they don't have the slightest quality of a Brahmin, not even anything. Like you were saying, you know, what do they care? Thousands of cows for one. It's not like that cow was... Yeah, how could they even notice it, or that the cow was giving some sort of gold coins out of it? It wasn't like a special
Well, yeah,
cow.
you get the idea that, you know, as soon as they got the cows, they said, okay, I'm going to mark them this way. I know exactly which one is which. It's like they're really keeping track, you know.
Yeah.
Really good.
And, you know, so there's no gratitude or simple sharing, the simple qualities that even we're trying to, you know, learn. And then I started thinking more that it's really more about Krishna's kindness and Krishna's tremendous willingness to go to such extremes to find some little thing.
Right.
You know, like it had to be so minor that he made this mistake, King Driga. And Krishna had to like find that little mistake and so he could turn him toward him. Right. And how wonderful Krishna really is and what extremes he goes to.
Yeah.
And then my question was, this is a really detailed little question, but why would they make him into a lizard? Is there something special about a lizard connecting with charity, going into a well?
Mukunda, can you have it out? Maybe are they symbols of miserliness? I don't know. It's a low birth. It's definitely a punishment. And I guess it's suitable to be in a well, to be in a lizard. I'm not sure. It was a big well. It was a real big lizard. I read that part. There's all these interesting comments by Jiva Goswami and this and that. All right, it's getting late. I wanted to end with something and give you something to take with you. You know how in the Vedas, you got the sutras. A lot of these little statements are so fraught with meaning. You take them away. Rasol Vaisa, just that alone. You can write books on it, right? So anyway, I came up with this little, I don't call it a poem, but it's a little couplet that you may find attractive to memorize. So this is something I'm giving you, this is a little gift. It's actually inspired by the last line of a poem that I know. What is it? Navadala da Vidjud the Varna Pasanna Vadanayana Pudna Chara Chandra Batangso Olekatilika Palo Keshabesha Papullo Bajabadatumano Radhika Krishna Chandra. This is from the Stavamala. And the last line simply means worship, worship, O mind. And the little word Sanskrit re, are, like we have Bhaja Hure. It means what is it, like a desperation or get it together, you know what I mean? In other words, it's a chastising word. So it means, oh wretched mind, worship, worship, Radha Krishna Chandra. This is one of these instructions to the mind, poems. If you're interested in the whole thing, there's a whole ashtaka, Radha Krishna ashtaka. It's very innocent, and it all, anyway. So that last line, I kind of turned into a little couplet. And I made it custom made for Radha Shyama Sundar. So here it is. You can easily memorize it right off the bat. All of us, 25 of us here. O wretched mind, just worship Shri Shri Radha Shyama Sundar and dive into an ocean full of endless bliss and wonder. O wretched mind, just worship Shri Shri Radha Shyama Sundar and dive into an ocean full of endless bliss and wonder. So let's try the first line. I'll say, you say. O wretched mind, just worship Shri Shri Radha Shyama Sundar. O wretched mind, just worship Shri Shri Radha Shyama Sundar. And dive into an ocean full of endless bliss and wonder. And dive into an ocean full of endless bliss and wonder. And dive into an ocean full of endless bliss and wonder. All right, I'll say two lines. You can see them. O wretched mind, just worship Shri Shri Radha Shyama Sundar and dive into an ocean full of endless bliss and wonder. Okay, you got it. Now you say it morning, noon, and night, and see what happens. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This whole part is so searching. I added it from chapter 14 to the I'm not sure what you're talking about. In the purport says that he's yellow. Oh, the Bhagavad Gita. That's straight from Jiva Goswami. Oh, he mentions Gita. Yeah, he mentions Gita. That's straight from Gita. We didn't do it. Bhaja Bhaja to Mano.